Welcome to Book Solid, the home service growth podcast. Helping service businesses capture more calls, respond faster to leads, and turn more opportunities into book jobs.
A customer tells you the water heater is leaking. They give you their name, their address, and say, "I can be there this afternoon." Then the call drops. They text your office. The reply comes back, "What is the address? What seems to be the problem?" Now the customer is repeating the story they already told you. And before anyone offers an appointment, they may be thinking, if this is how they handle my phone call, what will happen when the technician arrives?
That is not just an annoying conversation. It is a booking problem. Every repeated question adds friction, drains momentum, and quietly tells the customer that your company may not have the situation under control.
Welcome to Booked Solid, the home service growth podcast. If you run a plumbing, HVAC, electrical, roofing, or other home service business, this podcast is for you. I'm Jeff, and I share simple systems that help you capture more calls, respond faster, and turn more opportunities into booked jobs without adding more office staff. Today, we're talking about what I call the repeat question tax.
Here is the thesis. The problem is not that your team asks questions. The problem is that your system forgets the answers. A customer might begin with a phone call, continue by text, submit a web form, and receive a callback from someone else. To the customer, that is one conversation with one company. But inside the business, the details may be scattered across a call note, an inbox, a spreadsheet, and somebody's memory. When the customer has to start over, they usually do not say, "I am now evaluating your internal workflow." They simply feel the delay. They wonder whether the address was saved. They wonder whether the technician will know what is happening. And sometimes they call the next company before your team ever gets to the appointment. Let's stay with the leaking water heater for a minute. The first person who answers writes down, "Water heater leak, wants help today." That is a start, but the call drops before the job is booked. The customer sends a text with the service address. An office employee sees the text but cannot find the original call note, so they ask what kind of service is needed. The customer explains the leak again. Now the employee knows the problem and the address, but not whether the customer can be home this afternoon. A callback happens later. The person making the callback asks whether the leak is urgent. The customer says, "I already explained this." Nobody in that chain had to be careless. The answering person was busy. The office employee was trying to help. The callback may have been made with good intentions. The failure was in the handoff. The context did not travel with the lead.
And this is where many owners reach for the wrong fix. They say, "We need to ask more questions. We need a more detailed intake form. We need every possible field completed before anybody books the job." Usually that makes the problem worse. If your employee spends 10 minutes collecting perfect information while the customer is waiting for an appointment, the customer may go somewhere else.
What you need is not a giant questionnaire. You need a minimum viable lead snapshot. 6 basics that preserve enough context for the next person to move the conversation forward. And I can already hear the objection. "Jeff, my office is slammed. We do not have time to fill out another form." Good. You should not fill out another giant form. Capture 6 things, offer the appointment, and complete the less important details afterward. Let's build one together from that water heater call. Name, Maria. Best contact method, text, because she is at work. Service address, captured in the lead record. Reported issue, water leaking from the top of the water heater. Urgency, active leak, so it should be handled quickly. Next action, call back within 10 minutes with the first available opening. That is the snapshot. It is short enough to create while the conversation is happening, but useful enough that the next employee does not have to start from zero.
The first field is the customer's name. Use the name the customer gives you, not just a phone number or not a note like water heater caller. A name lets the next person continue the conversation like a person, not like they are opening an unknown ticket.
The second is the best contact method, phone call, text, or email. Sometimes the most useful detail is as simple as, "Text me first, I'm at work." That one note can prevent another missed connection and make the next step much more likely to happen. Third is the service address. Connect it to the lead record as soon as it is appropriate. An address sitting by itself in a text thread is easy to overlook. The address needs to travel with the customer and the service request.
Fourth is the reported issue. Use the customer's own words when you can. Water leaking from the top of the heater gives the next person a better starting point than water heater. No cooling upstairs is more useful than AC problem. You are not diagnosing the equipment. You are preserving the customer's description.
Fifth is urgency. Is there an active leak, a safety concern, a complete loss of heating or cooling? Or is this something that can reasonably wait a day or two? You do not need to solve the technical problem during intake. You do need to understand how the customer describes the timing and impact.
And sixth is the next action. This is the field that keeps a lead from becoming a loose end. Call back within 10 minutes. Offer the afternoon opening. Confirm access instructions. Send the booking link by text. The exact action can change, but there must be an action. If the lead has no next step, it is not being managed. It is just being stored.
Now, where does the snapshot live? In one shared lead record that the people handling calls, texts, web forms, and callbacks can access. You might say, our customer relationship system already does that. Maybe it does. But if the answering service cannot find the record, the office does not update it, and the next action lives on a sticky note, the software is not the system. The behavior is.
So choose one source of truth, not one place for the address, another for the call note, and a third place for the follow-up reminder. When a new inquiry arrives, create or open the shared record. Add what you know. Leave a field blank if you genuinely do not have the answer. Then assign the next action before the conversation is considered complete.
The call drops. What should happen next? The text gets attached to the same lead. Not a new note, not a group chat mystery. The same lead. Then the callback starts with, "Hi Maria, I have the details from your earlier message. I see that water is leaking from the top of the heater and you prefer text. Is it still actively leaking?"
That employee is not pretending to know more than the customer told them. They are confirming what is already known and asking only what is needed to make the next decision. There is a big difference between "what is the problem" and "I see that you reported water around the top of the heater. Is it still actively leaking?" One restarts the conversation. The other proves that the conversation continued.
Once the context is visible, the employee can offer an appointment instead of conducting another interview. "Thanks. I have the details from your earlier message. We have an opening this afternoon. Would you like me to reserve it?" That is progress. The customer is moving toward a booked job instead of circling around intake questions. This principle works across the trades. A roofing inquiry may start with a web form, continue by phone, and finish with a text confirming someone will be home. An electrical customer may call, send a photo through an approved business channel, and then speak with an office manager. A landscaping lead may ask for an estimate and have a different employee schedule the visit. The customer should not have to know who handled each piece. To them, it is one company and one conversation.
There are two traps to avoid. The first is allowing the 6 fields to become 26 fields. Do not wait for perfect information before protecting the opportunity. Capture the basics, offer the appointment, and gather additional details once the immediate booking step is secure. The second trap is creating another disconnected note-taking habit. Paper for one employee, a spreadsheet for another, and a message thread for the answering service is not a shared process. It is more fragmentation. Keep the record appropriate and secure, too. Capture what the team needs to schedule and serve the customer. Avoid unnecessary personal or payment information in casual notes or unsecured messages. Use approved business systems and limit access appropriately. Better context should improve service, not create a new information risk.
You can test this without building a complicated dashboard. For 1 week, count 2 things: leads with no next action at the end of the day, and callbacks where the customer had to repeat the issue. You do not need a perfect report. You need a baseline.
Once you can see how often the problem happens, you can see whether a shared snapshot is reducing it.
Then, once a week, review a small sample of leads from different channels. Ask 3 questions. Did we capture the 6 basics? Did the next person see them before contacting the customer? And did the lead have a clear next action? If the answer is no, do not turn the review into a blame session. Find the process break. Was the record hard to find? Was the next action unclear? Did somebody lack access? Fix one point and check again the following week. Let's return to the water heater customer. In the broken process, Maria tells the story 3 times and waits for an appointment. In the improved process, the first call creates the record. The text adds the address. The callback sees the issue, the urgency, and the contact preference. The employee confirms what is missing and offers the opening. Same customer, same leak, same team. The difference is whether the context survives the handoff.
That is the real goal. You are not trying to collect every possible detail before booking. You are trying to preserve enough context that the next person can continue naturally. Every time you save a customer from repeating the problem, you protect trust. Every time the next action is clear, you protect momentum. And when trust and momentum stay intact, you give yourself a better chance to turn that inquiry into a booked job.
So, make this your practical move for the week. Create one shared lead record. Keep the first snapshot to 6 fields: name, best contact method, service address, reported issue, urgency, and next action. Then coach your team to read what is already there before asking another question. The rule is simple. Do not add more intake questions until you can prove the next employee can see the 6 basics you already captured.
If this exposed a few leaks in your own intake process, download the free guide 107 Quick Wins for Home Service Businesses at ProfitPulse.biz. It includes more practical ideas to help you capture more calls, follow up faster, and book more work from the opportunities you already have.
Thanks for listening to Booked Solid, the Home Service Growth Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, subscribe so you do not miss future conversations about simple systems that help home service companies respond faster and book more jobs. And if you know another contractor who could benefit from this, share the show with them. Until next time, keep building systems that turn more calls to booked jobs.